guys, it's Ashley, and I'm bringing you a video today that is near and dear to my heart and to my business's heart. I'm going to talk today all about mental health, and really specifically aimed towards mental health of entrepreneurs, small business owners, whatever you identify with as yourself in your existence, in your company, your brand, your product, your service. I just want to have a moment of a heart-to-heart and let you guys know a few things that I'm consistently working on that I thought might be able to help you guys and shed some light on. If you're new here, my name is Ashley and I'm a serial entrepreneur, meaning that over the last 6 years, I've started about 4 businesses. Yep. 4 businesses, and to this date I am still surviving with some, thriving with some, and brand new at making a product-based business, which is candles. So if you're interested in any sort of marketing or business tips, as well as just kind of following along on this journey that I'm documenting from launching my product-based business in December of 2020 up until this point when you're watching this video, I'm really just trying to share my experience on the highs and the lows. There are usually a few lows, but just trying to share it with you guys, as well as sharing what I'm learning along the way, whether it be pricing issues, marketing difficulties, or anything in between. I'm really just trying to share about it. I think I said that word enough. But today's video is all about mental health. And I myself woke up today and was feeling kind of groggy. The weather is a little bit gloomy outside, and I found myself a little bit unmotivated, a lot unmotivated, and got onto social media and just started going down this rabbit hole of kind of like self-indulgent mistreatment of myself, if that makes sense. And it wasn't until I like snapped out of my social media or my screen and got along with my day that I realized that like I did not start my day off with a fighting chance. And so I wanted to talk to you guys about that today and some things that I have witnessed now starting another business and seeing some cyclical patterns, some routines maybe in outlooks and behaviors and things like that that I wanted to share with you guys. I am not a mental health specialist. I am not a therapist. I'm not licensed in any regard. And I'm only speaking on my experience as an individual trying to make a living by employing myself. And to give you guys a little bit of context, about 6 years ago, I launched a mobile yoga studio in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And it literally was basically like popping the top off of my entrepreneurship journey and self-employment journey. I came from corporate America where I had, you know, a loose 9 to 5, meaning that I was an outside sales rep, but I worked all the time. Came from a cushy 401k, a nice paycheck every 2 weeks, health insurance, company car, computer, you name it, you had an expense report for that. And I slowly started my business while still working my full-time corporate job. And then about a year into it, I realized that my business needed a bit more of me and I wasn't really into the corporate life anymore. I'd pretty much checked out. Sorry, company that I won't name. And you know, the first year of YogaZo, which is my yoga studio, was absolutely incredible. Every opportunity felt like something new and exciting, and whether it ended up being successful or not, you know, I was just in this complete, you know, wind tunnel, if you will, that was constantly propelling me forward and giving me just like new motivation, new excitement, a lot of collaborations with the community. We were like this new shiny toy in the community, and our Instagram was great. We were getting good growth. We were having a lot of like website visits, a lot of people showing up to classes. We were able to give back. We had a lot of community partnerships that were formed, and everything was just wonderful. So fast forward into about year 2, year 3 of YogaZo, so many things were still wonderful. Don't get me wrong. Forward-facing, customer-facing things were absolutely great. But there started to become this back end of things where I really noticed that things were a lot harder for me personally. Meaning, you know, maybe I would catch wind of some things that other yoga studio owners or teachers might be saying that weren't as favorable as I'd like them to be. or maybe there were just some like odds and ends situations. I won't go into detail, but just odds and ends things that were happening that started to weigh heavily on me. And a little bit of insight on myself, I am a type A driver. You know, not unlike most other entrepreneurs or small business owners, I'm really driven, and I like to give my best foot forward and seem perfect on the outside for sake of strength and credibility. But really on the inside, I deteriorated pretty quickly with my mental health. Now, back when I was, you know, starting in the corporate world at the age of like 22 up until, you know, I think this was around the age of like 30 that I went out on my own, I, you know, really was a competitive person. I had territories that I would manage in sales, and I just like was out for blood. Like I was a pit bull with a bone and had no problem, and really just was driven and good to go. Now, I did have mental health things in regards to, and when I say mental health, I mean like anxiety and depression are kind of the biggest umbrellas that I would talk about, but there's a lot more that comes with that. In the corporate world, I definitely had highs and lows, and I definitely had a lot of anxiety. I'm just born that way. But depression really wasn't a huge piece of my day-to-day or my life. And second and third year into Yoga Zo, I really found that my anxiety was still prevalent. You know, I would wake up in the middle of the night and just have like mini panic attacks around like, did I do this? What are they going to think? In anticipation of something that was coming in the future. But I really found that I was really struggling with what resonated with me or what I held on to of things that would be happening in the past. You know, maybe an instance would come up where someone wasn't that excited on what we were doing, or maybe some criticism or things that felt unfounded to me. You know, months and months would go by and I would still think of these things. And a really good example of this is, you know, let's say in the scope of 20 compliments, one of those are, you know, somewhat negative or bad. I would resonate on the bad one rather than focusing on the other really good ones. And that's just my personality. And so I really started to notice a decline in my mental health. And around that time, around probably the 3 or 4 year mark, I noticed that it was coming out a lot more in conversations to other people that worked with me, and just, you know, maybe even to customers in a way, and not something directly, more passively, you know, but people noticed that it was starting to wear on me. And I'll be honest, spoiler alert, I still haven't really figured out a good way to like heal that part of my depression that's attached to my business and running a business. And I've really found some tools that help me, along with going to therapy and trying to figure out this whole scope of the world. I don't even know, but as being an entrepreneur and small business owner. My point is that I found some things that I hope that I can take with me now through Upside Goods. As small business owners, you know, our products and our services really are an attachment of ourselves. I don't have children myself, and my businesses very much are my children, relatively speaking. And you know, when somebody doesn't like it, then it feels like they don't like me, or they don't like my hard work, or they don't like the things that I've attached to them. So in launching Upside Goods, I've really tried to be mindful of what this experience is going to look like, because let's be honest, you don't know what you don't know, so it doesn't hurt you. But the more you become an expert in your field, and the more you become attached to what you do know, and growing and learning and all of these things, then the more you know. Sometimes, you know, you develop opinions, you get a little jaded, maybe pessimistic, you start to build some walls up, which are great because you need to really divide and conquer with your energy and your time. But it can also be hard because in order to like change the brain pattern of the way you think about something or topic or person is really, really hard. I hope you guys are following me. I'm trying to find my words on this because this is a hard topic to talk about, but I think it's really important. I noticed today though, as I was going on that social media kind of bender where I was, you know, looking at other candle makers or looking at other yoga businesses and kind of going down this rabbit hole, I was like, wait a minute. I got to kind of stop myself in these situations, and I've done it really well before. Today I didn't do it so well. And it's even come down to taking responsibility back and ownership back of my life. And maybe I don't need to follow other people that are doing the exact same things that I am in a different scope, because maybe I'm just not strong enough today to know that my comparison analysis of what they're doing versus what I'm doing is likely apples and oranges. There is really never going to be a situation where what someone else is doing is apples to what you're doing, but for some reason we compare it as such. So stick with me. A lot of times what I find, especially with social media or Facebook groups or things like that, where you're wanting the community and opinions and voices and sharing of other people in the same industry or field as you, but sometimes you also don't need that, and you need to put your blinders up and you need to just charge forward and trust your gut on what you're doing, because let's be honest, those people didn't get you to the entryway of starting whatever thing it is that you're doing. You did. You trusted your gut to bring yourself to that point. So we need to trust our gut to bring ourselves past these points. Again, I really hope this is all making sense. This is kind of a brain dump today, but I think it's important to say. Another thing that I wanted to share with you guys is that, you know, we often say like, oh gosh, that's so itchy. I feel like I got bit. Oh gosh. Another thing I wanted to share is that this word of like competition. And depending on how you're feeling, you know, maybe it's someone that's local to you, that's doing something similar to you, and you might consider them competition. And I really think that the word even competition is all relative. Really, at the end of the day, I feel like if I sort through my thoughts, I'm probably more at competition with myself than I am with other people. Someone else's success might trigger something in me, and most likely that trigger is making me feel like I'm not doing enough because they are doing a said thing that is doing a lot. And that's all relative, really, and the lens and the scope of which we look at these things and we perceive them. An example that I attach to this is in candle making groups on Facebook, sometimes people will be like, you know, I told my friend that I was going to start this candle business and they thought that was such a great idea, and then mentioned later on that they're actually going to do it as well. And immediately we have now started a defensive positioning of, I need to protect what I'm doing because that other person either one, can't do that, or two, it feels inferior to what I'm doing, or three, I mean, they live down the street. Why the hell are they doing the same thing? It's things like that I'll be honest, I'm not healed from anything like that, and it's very triggering for me as well. But there are ways in which that I need to like create my own boundaries, and knowing that what I am doing is fulfilling a purpose for me, for the community that supports me, for people that like my products. And at the end of the day, I'm going to be the difference maker. So through screens or communication or competition or people doing the same thing down the road, I also need to be that boundary and trusting my gut and knowing that what I'm doing is what I am doing, and what they are doing is what they are doing. And that really has been the demise, and will continue to be the demise for me with my mental health, with depression and anxiety and respect to that. So I don't know, guys. I wanted to share this because maybe it's something that you are also struggling with or dealing with, or constantly just having to like check yourself on, of like, is this normal? Am I crazy? Like all of these thoughts that we get. It's really hard because we're working by ourselves for ourselves, and we have to be that strength and motivator to say, okay, Ashley, you're getting down this rabbit hole a little bit too much. Why don't we scale it back, focus on what we're doing, focus on how we're feeling, and then move forward. And this really is just the life of an entrepreneur. You know, not only are we having to keep our mental health in balance and in check, but we're also having to keep our accounting in check. And we're also having to make sure that our marketing is moving forward. And we have to be a forward face, and we have to be an inward face, and like all of these things. And it's just a lot. And so if any reason why I made this video today, it's just simply to let you guys know that you are not alone, that the struggle is very real. I know that that is like a coined term that we see on a lot of things and hashtags, but it's there for a reason. The struggle is real. Keeping positive is very hard, and ignoring the negative is also very hard, within reason. And knowing that what someone else is doing doesn't mean that you're not doing enough. Whew, that's a hard one. Let's remember that. What someone else is doing well doesn't mean that you're not doing enough. It just means that they're doing what they're doing and you're doing what you're doing. Now, if you need to take that and use it as motivation, do that. But don't be mad at that person because of what you're doing. And this honestly is going to be a taste of my own medicine, because I will be very, very honest with you guys. I have been very, very ill, sick to my stomach based on what I think someone else is doing that feels like it's wronged me or ignored what I've done, like it has any effect on them. It shouldn't. I have felt like people have stolen ideas from me. I feel like people have not given credit where credit is due. And I'm certain that other people have felt that way about me. And so I would just need to give myself a humble little pat on the back and understanding that I am not perfect and they are also not perfect. And to tie all of this up to make more sense is that, you know, in launching a business 6 years ago and then in launching a business now 10 months ago, it's really all going to be the same, and it's all cyclical. The more you know, the more opinions you make, the more, you know, your brain knows that, hey, I've experienced this before and this is how you should react. And then we have to be like, hey, you've experienced this before, but let's let this be different. The highs, the lows, the stress, the anxiety, the worry, all of it around being an entrepreneur is really hard. And so if anything, I will leave you guys with this. Today is today and tomorrow is tomorrow. Today you need to take care of yourself, and tomorrow you will take care of yourself. And it will all be okay. It's all going to be okay. I hope that that blurb was helpful for you guys. And if you have any comments or maybe even things that struck a chord with you that I said or that you've experienced yourself, please leave them in the comments below. You guys do not know how much those comments mean to me, and I really, really appreciate you guys taking the time just to communicate with me. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, it's all things business, marketing, mental health, clearly, and the highs and lows of running a product-based business. So please subscribe and stay along with me on this journey of creating a business from scratch and seeing how it goes. If you like this type of content, please also let me know that, or if there's something that you're jonesing for that seems like it might be in my wheelhouse, leave that comment below and suggestion, and I hope to make a video about it. If you're looking for one-on-one help to reduce overwhelm and stress around your business, get some advice or opinions, sign up for 30 for 30 with me. It's 30 minutes, $30, and they're a lot of fun. We meet over Zoom and have a good time. Thanks as always, guys, for watching. I appreciate your support, and I'll see you next time.